Hello everyone, this is Joel over here, and welcome to the 20th episode of our React series. And in this episode, we will be just looking into what is useRef hook over here. So previously we have seen what is use effect hook, use state hook, and use context hook, and now we are gonna see what is useRef hook. So useRef hook and use state hook, these both the hooks are similar, but there exists a difference between them, which is use state hook will re-render the component once the variable, that is state variable, gets updated over there. But whereas use reference hook will not re-render the component, which is it will not reflect in the UI, but it will be reflected in the backend of your React. So that is the only difference between use state and use reference. To be simple, if you want to re-render your component, you can just go with use state hook. Whereas if you don't want to re-render the component, you want only the values from those UI, then you can move on to use reference hook over here. So let me demonstrate with the counter.jsx file which we created in our previous episodes. So using this, I will just demonstrate and show you what is use reference hook and the syntax and all those stuff over here. Fine. So first step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the use reference hook over here. And before that, let me start the React. Okay. And I'll just reload this. Okay. Fine. We have started a React page over here. Now I'll just import the use ref hook over here. Okay. Fine. We have imported the use ref hook from the React package over here. Now, I will just demonstrate the use ref while comparing the use state hook over here. So what is the first step we have done in use state? We have created the state variable using const, right? Same way over here, we are gonna create a variable using let. It's not gonna be a const because in let we are gonna change the variable also over here. But whereas in state variable, we will be using setter method to change the values in the variable. But whereas here, we are not gonna do array destructure over here. Instead, we are gonna use let and we are gonna change the variable over here. Fine. Now I'll just write a variable name. Let it be increment. Okay. So increment is the variable I'm just giving to this let, and then I'm gonna call the object called use ref over here. Okay. And same way as a first step, I'm gonna give a default value which is 0 over here. Okay, same as the setter method of the count state variable. Same, I have created a variable instead of array. I have created a variable and I have used useRef hook and I have passed the default value which is 0. And here we have created this increment function, right, for this button. Let me just change this little, alter it. Okay, so it will be count plus 1. Okay, we are using the setter method of the useState variable and we are just incrementing the count. This logic we have seen in a previous episode, so go check it out over there. Fine. So now inside this increment value, what I'm going to do is increment is equal to increment plus 1. Okay, same as we done over using state variable. I'm gonna do it with use reference hook over here. You can do it with increment is equal to increment plus 1 or else increment plus plus. Either way is proper over here. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is first let's understand what is inside the use reference hook over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print this use reference hook in a console.log. Okay, and now I will just go to the web page. Okay, here an error comes because we have used both the term increment and even the function in the name of increment. So it understood it as a recursive function. So let me go and change this name alone. Let it be inc. and even over here. Okay, so now I'll just refresh it, and we are in the counter.jsx file, so I'll just move on to the counter router over here. Fine. Okay, this is the page which we have seen in our previous episode. Let me open the inspect window, okay, and console. Okay, let me first comment this line. Even this has been printing over here. Fine. So if I refresh this, as once our component starts to re-render, our use effect is being called over here, which is current. I mean, what is there inside the use effect? We are printing the reference of our useRef, right? So inside this, we have a thing called current zero over here. This is the current value which is existing in the useRef over here. Let me change it to 3. You can see now, once I refresh this, you can see now we have uh, current is 3 over here. Same way, if I just change it to 7, 7, I'll just refresh this. So now you can see current is 7 over here. So basically, what is the value which has been stored in the useRef hook? That particular value will be in the current. I mean, inside the useRef, we have an object called current, and that object will have the current value of your use reference hook over here. Fine. Using this, we are gonna do the demonstration over here. Actually, this is done, almost done. Our motive is to just show you that use reference hook will work behind, but it won't let you in the showing in the UI over here. Okay, so what I'm gonna demonstrate over here is right now what we have. If we just click on this count button, it gets increased over here. This is because we are just altering the state variable over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment the state variable, which is we are not going to re-render it again. So once a React component is being refreshed, our normal use effect will be called once. So I'll just have the dependency empty because let the use effect run once over here. Okay, so now in h1 tag, I'm gonna instead of count, I'm gonna do it as inc dot current, because our value is inside the current object, right? So increment dot current over here, inc is nothing but the variable of our use reference over here. So now here, instead of increment plus plus, you can see previously. Okay, now the state variable is not altering over here. Wait, oh, just a second, guys. Let it be count for a while. Okay, okay, so okay, fine. Now once I click it, and let me change this dependency also. Okay, let it be re-render. Okay, so once I click it, you can see all the time the use ref is having the value 7, but now we are gonna change it, but still we have given increment plus plus, right? But still you can see our use ref is always holding the current value as 7 over here, because the default value is 7 right now over here. If we change to 0, if I refresh this, you can see how many times if I just click this count button, every time the state variable is being altered and the UI is being re-rendered over there. And you can see all the times the use reference hook is 0 over here, because even though we have given increment plus plus, the use reference value is not being incremented, because we have to increment the current value from the use reference hook. Okay, this is the one thing we have to do. So if I just refresh this and let me click this, you can see now the use reference hook has been incrementing one by one. Okay, so this is the thing which I wanted to show you right now. Fine. Now what I'm gonna do is, inside this h2 tag, I will just give it as current. We are gonna display the use reference hook over there. So when should this be displayed? Once we click a button. So since we are not re-rendering the component, we can't show the result in the UI, right? So I'm just to demonstrate to you, I'm just creating a button. Okay, button, and saying that ref updater. Okay, and let me add a class names for this button and button primary over here. Okay, and let me have a on click property, and I'm gonna write an anonymous function saying that set count should be increment dot current. We are just setting the count value as increment dot current, which is we are gonna alter the setter method, I mean use state, and we are gonna re-render the value over the UI. So instead of doing plus plus 1, what I'm doing is I'm just incrementing the value using the reference useRef hook. And once the value is been done, if I click on this button, the second button which we have created, so the state variable will be changed and the reference hook value will be displayed in the UI. Okay. So now let's see what happens over here. And let me comment this. Okay. And I'll just add the dependency over here as count. Fine. So now let's open this. So we have two buttons, which is count and ref updater. So I'm gonna keep on press this count. Okay, you can see count value I have pressed lots of time, but UI is not showing over here. Once I click this ref updater, you can see I have pressed the count button for 32 times over here. So the reference value is 32, which is, even though it not showed in the UI, useRef hook is been incrementing the value in the backend of your React project. So that's the motive of useRef hook. And now you can see useRef is 32, which is the current object holds the value of 32. Okay, it's been printed using the useEffect hook over here. And that's it. And one more thing I have to say over here is, here we are just using a use effect and then printing this console.log, right? So I'll just copy this, okay, and I'll just paste over here. Same way, I'll just copy this console.log count also. I'll just paste over here and let me decomment it. Fine. And I'll just comment all these things. Now, if I just go over here, if I just click on this count button, you can see our, okay, let me just give it a properly so that you can understand it. Count state variable, okay, and over here use ref updated. Okay, so now let me refresh this. So now you can say I'm just clicking the button count over here. Now, okay, increment dot current, and let me have some space. Same way over here. Okay, so now I'm refreshing it. Okay, now I'm just clicking this button count. You can see our use state variable says that 0 over here, which is it has been printing 0 over here in our console. But whereas our use reference hook has been printing 1, which is same as the one which we updated in the UI. So what does this means? As I said in previous episode, our setter method will have a separate thread and it will be asynchronized. It won't be sync in the proper, no, as a normal code. Okay, it is a asynchronized manner, so it runs in a separate thread, so it doesn't have any link with the other codes over here. So that's the reason is this state variable prints 0 over here. But whereas use reference hook is same as a normal codes, which it runs in a single thread, I mean the same thread, so that proper value is been updated over here. Okay, this is the one I wanted to show over here. And that's it guys. So use reference hook is very easy to use. You have to import the use ref using the command from the React package, and create a variable using the let and call the use ref object over here, and the use ref object will hold the current value in the current object over here. So use this dot current to get the proper value and do it in your projects. That's it. So that's it of useRef hook. Hope you guys understood well, and stay tuned for the next episode of a React series, which is 21st episode. Okay, thank you.